Do you believe that Israel had a right to defend itself? But all the terrorists came from Gaza?
We don't have to, 632 days into genocide, have to start going back to do you condemn Hamas? The war crimes being committed by Israel are infinitely worse
than what Hamas did?
Absolutely.
Okay.
How many people have been killed now in Gaza? How many people?
Welcome back everyone. I'm a little late on this one, but I still think it's a video worth doing. Owen Jones, who's been doing a fantastic job reporting on the Palestine, Israel, Iran situation, is on the Piers Morgan show. We all know Piers has had a sudden epiphany and now believes Israel has gone too far. However, he refuses to call it for what it is, a genocide. Owen Jones is here to knock some sense into Piers. Let's take a look at this first clip where they discuss the Glastonbury event and whether that was more or less worse than what guests on the Piers Morgan show have said before. Let's take a look.
Your guests, who you treat as respectable people, come on this show, have more extreme views than he does.
On which side?
Because they support pro-Israel. Because
what about the pro-Palestinian guests I've had on, who the Israelis say are the most extreme people in the world?
Because the war crimes being committed.
Do you only care about extremists on one side?
Sorry,
because I don't. I care about extremists on both sides.
The war crimes being committed by Israel are infinitely worse
than what Hamas did.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How many people have been killed now in Gaza? How many people?
Depending on what report you believe, between 50 and 70,000 have been killed.
Absolutely not. The Economist, for example, which, as you know...
Well, I've seen those reports.
We support the onslaught. 109,000 people.
Okay. These are unsubstantiated numbers.
Under international law...
It is generally recognised by the international community that it's between 50 and 70,000.
No, it isn't. What are you talking about? Absolutely not.
It is.
Sorry. The international community is the international community of Western states who are arming and supporting Israel as it commits genocide. The Economist did a very deep... And the Economist supported Israel's onslaught. 109,000, that's just violent deaths. We know from other conflicts, this isn't a conflict, it's a genocide, the vast majority of people die from non-violent causes. Your guests who come on this show, who are pro-Israel guests, they support an onslaught which doesn't just kill combatants, but kills civilians. That is more extreme than what that man said, but you don't treat them as that. Why don't you treat those people as more extreme than that man? Why?
You've talked for a long time. I mean, I think we actually agree. You just don't want to admit we agree.
No, you don't accept the idea for doing. You don't accept it.
As you know, I have said very publicly now for many weeks, in fact, since the start of the year, that what Israel's been doing in Gaza in the last few months...
Is it genocide?
...has crossed... I don't think it is genocide.
Well, okay,
I don't think it is.
This is a real problem.
Hang on. No, it's not a problem.
It is a problem because you're a genocide denier.
Hang on. I'm not a genocide denier.
You are.
Israeli guests on the show have said pro-Palestinian guests are the most extremist in the world. Let's examine that claim for a moment. Who would you say is more empathetic, more intelligent, more honest? The pro-Israeli guests on the show, David Mensa, Jonathan Conricus, Elon Levy, Elika Labon, Sharon Haskell, and the Minister of Equality who has no equality, May Golan, or the pro-Palestinian guests Mehdi Hassan, Dave Smith, Anna Kasparian, Bassem Youssef, to name a few, and the names go on and on. It's not about being one-sided, but unanimously the world knows the problem child here is Israel. 5 days ago I put out a little post. 99% of people are pro-Palestine, 1% were pro-Israel. This was out of 1,400 votes. The conversation moves on to which regime is worse, Israel or Hamas. Okay, the actions on October the 7th meant 12 to 1,400 Israelis lost their lives. However, since then 50, 70, or as Owen says, the economists have said over 100,000 Palestinians have died. The numbers are important, but in this context, even if the number was 10,000, that would mean 10 times more Palestinians killed than Israelis on October the 7th.
Do you think Israel's committing genocide? Yes or no?
Do you know what genocide is?
Yes, I do.
What do you think it is?
Genocide is the intention to destroy a people in whole or in part.
Right. Okay.
Do you not think that's what's happening to the Palestinians of Gaza?
Do you think they're trying to kill every Palestinian?
That's not the definition of genocide. Which genocide is every single person being killed?
I think what is happening is more ethnic cleansing. Okay, it's how I would describe it. We can disagree.
No. This is.
You can disagree. A lot of people think it is genocide.
No. Okay.
It has not been officially declared a genocide, right?
What does that? Obviously,
it hasn't been officially declared.
The International Court of Justice is the only arbiter you could point to. No, just quickly, they would have to take years to do that. Okay, let me just put.
I would call it what Smodrich is talking about is ethnic cleansing.
A consensus of genocide scholars believe Israel is committing genocide, and that includes, just quickly, Israeli scholars of genocide. Omar Bartov, he's a professor of genocide and Holocaust studies.
But you asked me what I think.
No. No, but this is what I'm going to ask you because we're talking about experts, people who actually dedicate their lives.
But many experts say it isn't.
No, name. Let me quickly. Omar Bartov, Raz Sigal. These are only Israeli genocide scholars. Amos Goldberg, Israeli professor of Holocaust history. Daniel Blattman, he's the head of the Institute.
What's the ICC say?
The Israeli the ICC is still investigating, and their charges are public. Now, come up with another.
What's it said?
Well, we don't know because they've been ordered not to release any future charges.
We do know that it has not declared it a genocide.
Yet.
Right.
Yeah,
there's
but
evidence that it's potential. I agree with that.
Can you tell me? No,
I agree with that. By the way,
Piers, can you give me a single...
Let me get a word in.
Can you tell me a single genocide scholar who thinks this isn't genocide?
Let me get a word in.
This is where things get dangerous and where information gets interpreted incorrectly. Piers says, I think, straight off the bat, that in itself deserves to be condemned. Owen correctly gives the definition, and it's very clear to everyone that what's happening in Gaza right now fits the definition of both a genocide and ethnic cleansing. Piers says this is not officially been declared a genocide. Firstly, it has by genocide experts across the world. Secondly, if a murderer shoots and kills somebody openly in front of witnesses, it doesn't need to go to court for us to say it's murder. We know it's murder. My car was stolen 7 months ago on New Year's Eve. It's been 7 months and the thieves are yet to be trialed. I have video evidence of them stealing my car. I know they are thieves. I don't need to wait for a court hearing.
Benjamin Netanyahu, in the first week, was given a list of 100 targets by his general. And he said, that's not enough targets. I want 400. And he said, destroy their homes. That's what he said. This was revealed in an Israeli newspaper. Now, the idea that they were, the reason that they slaughtered so many civilians in that first week was because of tunnels is a lie, Piers, and you must know that's a lie.
No, it wasn't my question. My question was, do you not think that when Hamas planned this attack and carried it out, having spent 20 years building this tunnel network, they then hid in the tunnels and let their civilian population take the inevitable bombardment that was going to come back when they committed the attack they had committed? In other words, Hamas sacrificed their own civilian population.
You're trying to deflect from Israel's direct responsibility.
You're saying that
we know Hamas committed war crimes. Everybody accepts
so
that.
when any country,
Israel is guilty of the war crimes it perpetrated.
So to be clear, then, your position is if a country has a terror attack on the scale of what Hamas did to Israel on October the 7th, any response by that country militarily is a war crime. Well, is that your position? Is that your position?
If you kill civilians through either disproportionality,
well, that's not a war crime.
Legality,
that's not a war crime.
or intention.
Israel
made clear.
It's not a war crime.
Yes, it is. Israel made clear from the beginning.
It's not a war crime.
Israel said from the beginning they were fighting human animals.
You don't understand international law.
Yes, I do understand international law.
You don't.
A war crime is...
It's not a war crime.
A war crime doesn't mean if you're attacked, you can break international law and the norms of war. Okay. It means you have to abide by the norms of war.
It's not a war crime for a country to defend itself against terrorists.
Israel committed war crimes from the very beginning.
We will establish the truth about the war crimes.
Do you think that Israel wasn't? Do you think Israel wasn't committing war crimes from day one?
I don't know. They wouldn't let journalists in. I don't know what they were doing.
They did it on camera, Piers. They did it on camera in front of the whole.
But you think that any military response is a crime, and that's not true.
That's not what I said.
It's pretty much what you implied.
The reason this has happened is because Israel has been committing war crimes for generations. Literally, the Nakba, in which 15,000 Palestinians
and yet every war that started in the
as they were driven from their homes.
75 years of the conflict, every one of the 5 wars has been started by.
That isn't true.
Well, who started them?
Do you think in 67 that's true? That's
each of the wars.
Absolutely not true at all. But we're talking about the Palestinian people here.
Just to be clear, you think all 5 outbreaks of war in the 75 years were started by Israel?
The Palestinian people didn't start any of those wars.
Arabs started the wars.
So just Palestinians just get lumped in with Arabs.
Did Israel start those wars?
Did Palestinians start any of those wars?
We're
talking about Palestinians here. We're talking about the war on the Palestinian people. Yeah, but we're talking about the war on we're talking about the war on the Palestinian people and their right to exist.
Is Israel ever allowed to defend itself?
Israel needs to become a single state from the river to the sea in which Jewish people and Palestinians have equal rights.
Another useless argument by Piers, and I'll tell you why. This whole time the Israeli officials defend the actions of the IDF by saying Hamas are hiding behind civilians. How or why would they hide behind civilians if they have 350 miles worth of tunnels under Gaza? If they're hiding in the tunnels, then why would Israel destroy all the hospitals, all the schools, and stop all the aid? If they're hiding in the tunnels, then how are they stealing all the aid and then selling the aid back to the Palestinians? It's all a nasty lie, and we're here to expose them, and we're never going to stop. Anyway guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Support me by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.